Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for joining this short webinar, welcoming you all to iovox. My name is Sonia Patterson. I'm the social media and marketing manager at iovox, and I'll be your host today. I'll be here just at the beginning, going through a couple of house cleaning items, and then again at the end during the question and answer section. Joining us today are Ryan Gallagher, co-founder and CEO at iovox, and Steve Jambor, former Director of Strategic Accounts at CallSource, now Senior Account Executive at iovox. We will get into formal introductions with Ryan and Steve in just a moment. What we'd really like to do today is we'd really like to answer any questions that you may have, and we would like to do that through the chat feature, meaning that you can type your questions in the chat and we will answer them live in this webinar. The chat feature should be on the right side of your screen. If you don't see it, just take a moment to tap the chat icon at the top and it should pop out. You also have the option to mute the chat if necessary, and you'll find that option to turn notifications off in the 3 dots at the top. Today, Ryan and Steve will be introducing iovox, explaining the transition process and our goals for continuity. They will highlight a few recent iovox technical innovations and answer any questions that you may have. We are recording this webinar, and at the end, we will be sending it out to all customers. So if you didn't catch something or if you have to leave early, please don't worry. We will send you a recording of this at the end. So again, we are just so pleased that you are here, and welcome to iovox.
Hey everyone, thank you for that, Sonia. I'm Ryan Gallagher, obviously, the CEO and co-founder of iovox. I'm an engineer by trade. I have over 25 years of technology experience, and I've worked with international companies all over the world, really, and some of the largest companies there are. I worked for companies like Compaq before they got bought by HP. I worked for Alstom, which for those who don't know is France's largest company. I managed their global network over 70 countries, supporting over 178,000 employees, which is obviously pretty large. But my most exciting experience prior to this was when I worked for ISPs like KPN and Quest, and I was part of a global team, and we were tasked with figuring out how to make the internet backbone support video and audio streaming. For those who don't know, it was originally built for text, so it wasn't really built to handle that sort of thing. So that was a great job, really cool time, and very innovative. And then the bubble burst, and I had to get a real job. So that's how I ended up at Alstom. But I built a lot of cool things, and I'm happy to say that that's continuing at iovox. So I'm going to hand over to Steve now and let him introduce himself.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. I know that I've worked with many of you over the past 13 years, and I'm really looking forward to meeting some new faces as well. As we look to transition over the next several months, Greg Simergian and I will be with you every step of the way to help answer any questions that you might have and make sure that this transition is completely seamless. The team here at iovox has been incredible. It's really been a pleasure working with everybody, and I'm looking forward to sharing with you the solutions we have to offer and the future that we can build together.
Thanks, Steve. This is the highlight of what we're going to cover today, as already explained by Sonia. So if you weren't paying attention, you can read it now. And again, as Sonia mentioned, don't forget to type in any questions into the chat box, and we'll answer them during the Q&A at the end of the session. So I'm going to start with who we are and tell you a bit about iovox. So we're a global company. We have offices in the US, UK, Australia, and France, and we have customers live in over 100 countries. We have multilingual support around the clock, so 24/7 support from our offices. And we have a platform which is built in-house. And what does that mean, and why does that matter? It means that it's easier for us to support, it's faster for us to innovate on top of that platform, and it means we have more functionality, which other providers don't have. This is good for you guys as well as for us, because it means it gives you a leg up when you're competing with your own competition, because it gives you features which aren't already in the market in many instances. We've always been an engineering-led company. I think you're going to be excited by some of the products that we have and some of the things that we can actually do. I'll pass back to you, Steve, to go through the transition.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm sure the question that's on everyone's mind is what's going to happen over the next few months with this transition. First, I want to let you know that iovox has done this type of transition before, and we'll make sure that you don't experience any downtime as part of the move over to iovox. As we transition, we'll mimic all of your current account settings and features that you have in your new iovox account. You'll not be required to port any of your phone numbers over, and really you won't be required to make any changes outside of updating the URL and password if you're using the call source API today. Additionally, you'll still have access to the call source user interface if you would like to continue to use that, but we obviously highly encourage you to move over to the iovox platform because we know there's some great features and benefits that you can utilize there. Greg and I will continue to provide support, and because iovox is internationally based, we do have true 24-hour support that can be reached at support@iovox.com. When it comes to the billing, there'll be no changes to your current agreement or contract or pricing. All of that will remain in place as it is today. Over the next few months, you will continue to receive invoices from CallSource, but as we transition, iovox will begin to take that over and will communicate any changes as we move forward. Again, if you have any questions at all, please reach out to Greg or I or the support team at iovox, and we'll be happy to help.
So this is the team that you'll be most likely to interact with on a day-to-day. We have obviously a lot more people than this all around the world. We have some wonderful people, but these are the ones you're probably going to see most often. So there's myself and Dan, our COO. So we're available for anything that you need. We're both located in the US time zone, and we're here to help with anything really that you might require. So next up, we have Cecilia West. She is our Director of Accounts based out of our London office, and some of you will be hearing from her if you haven't done so already. And your day-to-day, as Steve mentioned, will be with Steve and Greg. So those guys you probably already know, and if you don't, you're going to get to know them. They're going to be helping you out every day with your accounts. And we also have potentially familiar face to some of you, which is Tim Gamal on the team, who's an ex-CallSource employee. So these are the people you'll be dealing with day-to-day, and obviously there's more than that you'll probably interact with, but these are the people that you'll be more frequently used to dealing with. So I'm going to go through some of the services that we provide. So at iovox, we have all the usual call tracking services that you're used to and that you're probably using today. But on top of that, we have more regional and functional reach, which we think is pretty much unrivaled in the world at the moment. We serve well over 300 customers who are live in over 100 countries, and each of our customers tends to use us in a different way. Some customers use us as an out-of-the-box solution, but many like to tailor our products to fit in with what they're currently doing, their current plans, and try and help them achieve their goals. So here's a small sample of customers that use iovox. And for most of these, you'll find public case studies on our website, which will show how we work with them. And most of these customers have been with us for quite a while. And if you get the chance, please do check out our blog. It has a ton of information on it about our products, but also how our customers deploy our technologies and help them improve their businesses. So you might get some good ideas there. Most of our customers use the API. It's very much the core of our platform. Everything that you can do in our platform, you can do via one of our APIs. So as you can see here, we have multiple APIs. We have the voice, SMS, email, live chat, and the call data APIs. And we also have some private APIs, which are not publicly available, but in use by some of our customers. If there's anything you see that you like, feel free to use it. But if there's things that you want to do that you don't see on our API, please reach out to our team. If we don't have it, probably won't take us long to build it and add on to it. A lot of our customers integrate 100% with the API, and they inject all the data into their own systems where their customers visit, and others use our portal. And we now also allow their customers to use our portal, which is white labeled and now has single sign-on capability. So that's pretty exciting new innovation from us as well. I'm not going to go through all these, and some of them I'm not going to mention due to customer confidentiality in terms of the brand. So you can see some of these are labeled as property portal. We take privacy very seriously. So the customer brands that you can see here, they're all public case studies, and they're happy for us to share this data. So I'm going to highlight 3 of them, and I'm going to start with Zoopla. So we've worked with Zoopla since they were the number 8 property portal in the UK, and we helped them grow into a unicorn, and they IPO'd recently for multi-billion pounds. And what did we do to help them? Well, it really started out by trying to get them an increase in lead flow. So we switched them from national numbers into local numbers, and we saw a 63% increase in volume of leads driven. We then continued on to figure out how to increase the volume of those calls that was answered, and we did an increase of about 9% when we made some changes on their side. And this has kind of been a very long relationship with Zoopla, and every time we actually work with a customer, we look at what they're actually doing and how we can help, and we check that data out that's available, and we help advise and assist with ideas which can actually improve businesses, as well as obviously providing the information to our customers so they can make their own decisions. I'm going to also go to the property portal, which you mentioned on the top left. This was quite an interesting one because it's fairly simple what we ended up doing. But we looked at the actual volume of leads that were going to their site and the volume of phone calls, and we actually decided that this was way below the standard. So we helped them do some basic A/B testing on their website. And what that means is we moved the phone number around, in essence. We made it easier to find out who to call, where to call, increased the size of the font. And just with simple changes like that, we managed to increase the phone leads by 700%. So there's a lot that you can do to drive leads and increase leads. And when you have the data, you can actually test different aspects of it and figure out which works the best. And last but not least, we've also found that adding more ways for a customer to communicate will increase lead volume. So for example, at Aviva, up at the top there, you can see they're a huge insurance company, and we added the ability to call via the web. So that's a web callback button, which initiates a phone call to the browser and then connects that to the actual the company. So by doing that, most people think this would cannibalize calls, but actually increased leads by about 20%. We found that the more different ways that you actually add to your site to allow people to connect, it just increases the lead flow. Some people want to do a web call, some people want to do a normal phone call, some people want to text, and some people want to email. The more ways you add to get creative for your customers to reach out to you, the more leads you're going to get. We've seen this time and again. So next up, I'm going to highlight some of the innovations that we have most recently. So we have a large suite of products, which includes spam blocking, mobile apps, SMS tracking, email tracking, and much more. But I really just want to highlight two of the latest ones just to give you a flavor of some of the new things that we're doing at the moment. And I'm going to start with WebConnect. So WebConnect is a button on your website. Effectively, it allows a visitor to click the button and initiate a call from their browser to the phone of your customer on the other side. So two important things to note: no phone numbers are needed on the site, and no special tech or applications are needed on the receiving side. So it comes through to the person who answers that call as a regular call, but the person calling does so using their browser. So it uses their microphone and their speakers, just as we're doing right now. So some of the cool features of that, and some of the benefits, is it allows us to track lead source 100% accurately. So because the call comes from the browser, we can track anything on that page, from the referrer to the content of the page, the web journey they went on to get there, and more. And the fact that there's a button on a phone number also reduces spam, because there's no number for bots to power dial. So we have an increasing number of customers who are using these buttons on lower value customers as well, in an effort to upsell them. So we have some customers with, millions of pages, millions of customers online. A subset of those customers are usually driving revenue and paying. So this allows them to upsell to the customers who aren't convinced and prove to them the value that they drive as a portal. Next one on the production line here, obviously, it's our Conversational AI product, and it helps customers make sense of what is happening during their calls and assist them to better monetize those leads. So it works by analyzing the call itself and figuring out what happened during the call. So we can discover an outcome, for example, that a test drive was booked. And when we discover that outcome, we can initiate what we call on our side a triggered event. That can be anything from an email to an SMS to an HTTP GET. For example, we can add a booking into a CRM system, or we can send an email to your booking team with the details of the call. So this is helping customers do many different things, from checking what the value of the call is. For example, do they need a loan? Do they need insurance? Was there a complaint? We can check if the call was answered properly. We can score that call based on many different things, and we can then initiate actions off the back of that. And all of these things are done by AI and machines. So there's obviously an increasing amount of privacy concerns around the world at the moment, especially in Europe and increasingly so in the US. So this is not performed by people, this is done by machines. So that makes it more private, but it also makes it increasingly scalable and closer to real time. I am going to pass back over to Sonia now to close out.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Steve. We wanted to share that for support, Steve did mention that you can contact support@iovox.com, but you can also still email Steve and Greg at their call source emails. So those call source emails do still work. However, you can also begin to email them at their new iovox emails shown here, which are steve@iovox.com and greg@iovox.com. So we are at the question and answer section of our presentation today. And if you haven't written any of your questions in the chat yet, now is the time. I do have a number of questions here to get us started. So first question. If I add iovox services, are the charges the same as what I paid in call source?
I can jump in and answer that one. Yeah, I mean, if you're adding services which you currently have, they'll be exactly the same price. There'll be no change whatsoever. If you want to add some new services which iovox provide, which you currently don't have, then you can talk to some of the account team and get pricing off them. But anything which you currently have, or anything which is currently available to you on your existing platform will be at exactly the same price. There'll be no change.
Thank you, Ryan. Can you tell me a bit about your spam blocking? We get a lot of spam calls.
Yeah, so we have all the usual spam blocking stuff. So we have the, you can put an IVR in place. We detect if it looks like a spam call. We also have velocity-based spam blocking, so we can say if a number of calls multiple customers within a certain period of time, we can list that as a spam caller. We can do that on your account, and we can also add you to a shared account. And one of the other things that we have, which is fairly new, is the new framework from the U.S. government, which just started shaking. This allows us to actually track and analyze if the calls come from a legitimate carrier. And we have multiple layers that you can switch on there. One is if it's a known legit carrier, we can allow those calls and block everything else. Or we can say if it is actually malformed, we don't know the carrier, but it is actually malformed, we can block just those ones too. But that's a pretty new framework, and we continuously add the spam calls because obviously there's a lot of spam out there, and we do our best to block that.
Thank you, Ryan. A question from Roger in the chat. When will the login information switch from call source to iovox website?
I can jump in and answer that as well. Hey, Roger. Not sure, in all honesty, exactly when that'll be. It'll probably be within 3 to 6 months, but you'll have plenty of lead time to do that, and we have a 12-month window for that to actually complete. So we'll be notifying you months in advance that you are able to switch between the two, so there'll be no rush to that. And also, in terms of the actual platform itself, the platform will look exactly the same as it currently does, and there will be no forcing you to jump to our platform, which we think looks better and we think is a bit more modern and has some more features and functionality to it. But we'll be encouraging you to join that new platform, but there will be no forcing you to do so. You can stay on the old platform as long as you like.
Thank you, Ryan. This next question, Steve, you already answered it, but it's a good question to have answered again. Will there be any downtime migrating my account?
No, there'll be no downtime when it comes to migration. We're going to take care of porting and moving the numbers from call source over to iovox, and the transition will be seamless. So there's nothing to worry about in terms of downtime, and all calls will continue to route. Customers will have no impact at all.
Wonderful. Is your API documentation available online?
Yes, it is. Yeah, that's available online. Go check it out at our website. If you have difficulty finding it, reach out to the team. But again, we have private APIs as well as public ones. The public information is all there, along with some blog posts on how people have used it in the past. And if you want to get more information, again, reach out to the account teams.
Thank you, Ryan. Do you have an SLA?
Yeah, we do. So we work with companies like British Telecom, who obviously are pretty unforgiving when it comes to any issues. So we have a very strict SLA. Short term, for existing customers, we will mimic your exact SLA. And then longer term, the SLA will only get better from what you currently have. We are very, very strong technically, and we, as I've already said, have very unforgiving customers, so we don't suffer downtime. We do whatever we can to keep things alive, and we've been building large-scale infrastructure and networks for many years. We have about 100 years of experience across the team, at least.
Thank you, Ryan. A billing question. While the billing is handled by call source, maybe Steve, you can answer this one. Do I reach out to call source with questions or to iovox?
I would say continue to reach out to Greg and I. We'll handle all questions and make sure that they get answered by the appropriate team and communicate with you along the way. So Greg and I will be your best resource, and continue to just reach out to us, and we're happy to help.
Last question. Can you give me more information about your app?
Sure. I mean, the best way to get more info is to go download it. So it's freely available. We have an Android app and an iOS app. It gives you the ability to redirect calls, to check out your stats and analytics, and to do much more. But the iOS app is much different to the Android app, depending on the underlying functionality of the platforms that they're built on. But go download it, play around with it, and give us your feedback and let us know what you think.
Perfect. Thank you, Ryan. So everyone, that is everything that we have for you today. Thank you so much to Ryan and Steve, and thanks to all of you for joining us. As mentioned, everyone will be getting a copy of this webinar via email. And if you have any questions that you didn't get answered, or if something comes up later or next week, please write Steve or Greg at their call source or iovox emails. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and thanks again for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.